Have you ever had that specific, almost physical sensation at the end of a long day of screens?
Oh, absolutely.
You finally put the phone down, the screen goes black, and for a fleeting second, there is quiet.
Yeah.
But then the mental highlight reel starts.
Yes. The digital residue.
Exactly. It's the lingering echo of every short, fast-cut video, every piece of urgent text, every notification you ignored. Your device is physically off, but your mind is still sprinting at, 1.5x speed
Yeah.
on a digital treadmill, just churning through it all.
And that phenomenon, that inability to switch off the internal pace after the external device is deactivated, is the central problem our source material today attempts to solve.
It's a huge problem.
It is. And today we are diving into a single, really comprehensive source, a blueprint titled The Digital Sanctuary of Rest. This isn't just theory, it's a detailed design document. It starts from the premise that, look, total digital elimination is impossible for modern life.
It's not realistic.
Not at all. So the solution it proposes is to engineer a highly specific, restorative digital environment, one that's purpose-built for deep rest and synchronization.
Okay, let's unpack this. This source material is, frankly, it's remarkable because it takes the very architecture of digital engagement, the compulsion, the constant feedback loops, the aesthetics, and it meticulously flips them on their head.
Completely inverts them.
It describes this slow, guided transition from screen fatigue and cognitive overload into a profound state of calm. It's engineered precisely for restorative sleep. It truly functions as a design document for tranquility, like an operating system of peace.
And our mission today is to dissect this blueprint detail by detail. We're going to be analyzing this anti-algorithm architecture, identifying exactly how it achieves sensory integration, emotional filtering, and synchronization with the body's innate need for rest.
So we're looking at a digital space where the rule isn't scroll faster, consume more.
But sink deeper, allow rest. For you, the listener, this deep dive offers a fascinating peek into what digital technology could be if its primary function was healing, not harvesting attention.
I was immediately struck by how radical this concept is. Not because it's non-digital, but because it uses the tools of digital design to achieve the exact opposite of what they were created for.
It's inverse engineering. That's the perfect way to put it. It takes these highly optimized pathways for dopamine release, and it rewires them to trigger oxytocin and serotonin, the hormones we associate with contentment and safety.
So let's begin at the absolute gateway, the point of no return, the moment of transition. For most of us, turning the phone off is a simple binary act. It's either on and demanding or off and inert. The sanctuary just rejects this.
It completely rejects that binary state. It introduces what the source calls the initial portal transformation.
And it starts with the screen itself.
Right, so the source describes the phone screen not just fading to black, but feeling like it's opening, like the surface of a calm lake at night. And that small metaphorical shift is incredibly important psychologically.
It really is. It moves the interface from being a passive window displaying external data to an active threshold for an internal space.
Exactly. That shift from flatness to depth is the very first signal that the rules of engagement have fundamentally changed. A flat screen is designed to bombard you with information at you.
Hey, it's a broadcast.
Whereas a volume, or a deep well, invites observation and careful entry, it's the difference between that broadcast and a gentle invitation. And what fills that space isn't the familiar grid of high-contrast app icons.
Which are just instant triggers for cognitive recognition and action. You see that red dot and you have to act.
Of course. But here, instead, we get what the source calls the visual transformation. A slow-moving mist of purples, blues, and soft gold.
And those colors are so specific.
They are strategically chosen. They avoid the high-energy blue and white light that actively suppresses melatonin production, the hormone essential for sleep regulation. These deep, saturated colors, the purples, the blues, the golds, they mimic twilight or the soft illumination of a deep-sea environment. They're colors the visual system associates with the natural slowdown cycle of the day.
And the slowness of that mist is crucial, isn't it? It's the initial pacemaker. Our visual system is typically calibrated to detect rapid change, which triggers arousal.
It's an alert system.
Right. So by offering only slow, nonlinear, unpredictable motion, the nervous system receives an immediate nonverbal instruction. We are slowing way down now.
It's a form of visual sedation. But here is where the brilliance of this anti-algorithm really emerges, the floating symbols.
This part was fascinating.
So instead of harsh notifications or red badges demanding clicks, you see these tiny drifting shapes, A residual coffee cup, a cat image, a blurred skyline, maybe some lo-fi music notes.
So are they basically the algorithm's attempt to reconcile the day's data without triggering that fear of missing out? It feels like a direct confrontation of that digital residue we were just talking about.
That's exactly it. They are the data fragments of your day, but they are stripped of their power and urgency. They aren't links you need to click or a comment you need to reply to.
They're just ghosts of the data.
Perfect word for it. The lack of sharp focus and the slow movement are the key engineering features here. If the phone knows you spent 2 minutes looking at a cat video, the sanctuary visually renders that data, the little cat symbol, not as a sharp link that pulls you back to the platform, but as a soft, powerless ghost.
So the visual rendering is intentional fuzziness. It confirms to your brain, yes, this data existed, but since the object is slow, non-clickable, and aesthetic only, the brain registers it as non-actionable memory, not an immediate demand.
It's the digital equivalent of watching sand sift through an hourglass, you know? It's safely contained and slowed down to the point of irrelevance.
And this transition isn't just contained within the screen, is it? The environment is immediately influenced.
Right. We move into what the text calls sensory spillover and gentle invitation.
I loved the analogy it uses. The mist gently spilling out of the screen like someone quietly opening a bottle of perfume, filling the air with a soft shimmer. This is where the interface stops being a boundary and becomes an atmospheric influence.
It's a full environment sync. It leverages the physical space to reinforce the mental shift. The environmental cues include things like the room's smart lights shifting to a deep, soothing indigo. It's a gentle instruction to the physical space that the digital transition has begun.
It tells your body, in ambient lighting terms, that the day is over, and the slowdown is now mandated by the environment itself.
And the physical sensation follows suit. The source says the bed begins feeling lighter, almost floating, cradling the body perfectly. This is the device physically acknowledging your fatigue and preparing your body for a state of suspension, not just horizontal rest.
It's a moment of total, non-judgmental physical support.
Absolutely. So the core mechanism, then, is established right at the start. The portal offers a slow, gentle invitation operating at the speed of your breath instead of the speed of your thumb. This is the foundational philosophical inversion of all commercial digital space.
That point is so critical. Digital platforms usually demand immediate high-speed interaction. They equate pace with productivity, reward, validation.
And the sanctuary makes consent and relaxation the prerequisites for entry. If you try to rush it, the environment itself becomes inaccessible.
So it forces a physiological check-in. You literally have to achieve a certain level of calm, a slow breath rate, before the environment will even unfold further.
Exactly. It turns the digital environment from a source of anxiety and forced response into a source of deliberate, unhurried calm. The pace itself is the first form of filtering, ensuring that any residual agitation is shed before you can even proceed.
All right, so once we accept that gentle invitation, we step through the portal and into the corridor. This is the conceptual space, described as a vast, infinite corridor that feels like the inside of an algorithm slowed down to a peaceful dream.
That description is really the conceptual core of the sanctuary. It retains the structural familiarity of digital organization, the endlessness, the pathways, the portals, but it strips away the predatory function.
Which is endless scrolling toward consumption or optimization.
Right. It demonstrates that the infrastructure of the internet is inherently neutral. It's the design intent that makes it disruptive or tranquil.
But wait, if we're trying to escape the endless scroll, doesn't creating an infinite corridor risk replacing one form of digital addiction, that constant search for the next piece of content, with a new form of digital aesthetic escape?
That's a perceptive and a really critical question. The key distinction here is the presence of compulsion. The corridor, despite its vastness, is navigable without urgency. We see the visual details. An endless hallway of hovering doors and windows, all glowing and pulsing slowly as if they're breathing.
So the movement is rhythmic, not frantic. The doors don't flash at you, they breathe.
Precisely. And the floor is that smooth, reflective surface, like polished black glass or still water, mirroring blurred echoes. It suggests motion and passage, but motion that is entirely self-paced and reflective. There's no sharp focus, no immediate threat of friction or collision.
This visual softening is a deliberate reduction of cognitive load. In a normal app, every icon
Whereas here, the blurred echoes and polished surfaces mean the visual system can relax its focus. It's visual information designed for peripheral absorption, not central processing.
But perhaps the most profound and immediate shift is the soundscape of safety. The space replaces that cacophony of digital noise, the alerts, the sudden music, the speech, with a deep, velvety hum. It's a blended, soothing track.
It's a masterclass in acoustic comfort, and we can break down why it works on the nervous system. It combines three elements: the soft crackle of vinyl, distant ocean waves, and the faintest chime of lo-fi beats.
Okay, let's take those one by one. The vinyl crackle.
That introduces white noise and a sense of nostalgic warmth. It's associated with older, slower forms of media consumption. Then you have the ocean waves, which provide rhythmic constancy. That constant, predictable whoosh of the sea is a natural form of auditory calming. It signals safety because it's a pattern that poses no immediate threat.
And the lo-fi beats. That's definitely the element that anchors it in the familiar digital aesthetic we all know.
Exactly. The lo-fi beats are typically low-tempo, non-lyrical, and repetitive. They minimize the need for cognitive processing of language or complex musical structures. They're slow enough to align with a resting heart rate. And critically, the nervous system immediately recognizes this blend of rhythmic constancy, warmth, and non-urgency as safe.
So it's auditory permission to shift from a state of high alert to one of deep relaxation. It counters all those high-frequency urgency signals we usually get from digital media.
It's the opposite of a sudden shift in volume or a jump scare. It's designed to be a constant, non-threatening, supportive auditory blanket. And while moving through this serene space, we meet our guide, the guiding comfort character.
Ah, yes, the little avatar.
This is where personalization meets gentle instruction. The shifting avatar constantly shifts between these cozy forms: a pixelated cat, a tiny neon fox, an orb with ears, and a tail of light. It utilizes the common aesthetic of comfort characters from cozy gaming and online culture, but it makes it an active yet entirely nonverbal guide.
The role of this guide is just vital because it's nonverbal and non-demanding. It simply invites you to follow, leaving a faint trail of stardust. It's curation without compulsion.
It is.
And I think the core function here is the removal of decision fatigue, which is an enormous drain on our mental resources in the real world.
You've hit on the key therapeutic mechanism. In a world defined by micro-decisions, which app next? What link to click? Do I scroll or exit? The guide provides an ephemeral direction, not a command. It eliminates the friction of choice.
And if you stop,
The faint stardust trail means if you pause to look at a door, the guide patiently waits or just reappears slightly ahead, reinforcing that the pace is yours alone.
as we move, we pass the living thumbnails, or curated calm. These are the doorways as content. Moving scenes, like living thumbnails from the calmest parts of the internet, but importantly, they're softened, slowed, and made three-dimensional and touchable.
This is the sanctuary's brilliant use of familiar digital shorthand. We are trained to see a thumbnail as a representation of what we must click on to get a reward.
Right, it's a promise of content.
Here, they are aesthetic experiences made real, but they are slowed down to the point of being purely atmospheric. The source lists the specific aesthetic scenes: a soft-lit bedroom with a rain-streaked window, a forest path lit by fireflies, a quiet cafe with slowly rising steam.
It takes the aspirational comfort of online aesthetics, that whole genre of lo-fi beats to study relax to, and it grounds them. It makes them feel available for entry, but without the pressure to produce or achieve the mood. You don't have to study, you just enter the mood of the soft-lit room.
These are content loops designed for passive acceptance. It's the internet saying, I know what you like and I have made it safe and optional for you. The visual information is high in emotional comfort but low in cognitive demand. They're just aesthetic options, reinforcing the concept that the digital space is serving your rest, not its own engagement metrics.
And the journey through this corridor then culminates in the destination view. Our little guide stops at a doorway framed in lavender and teal, revealing a breathtaking vista, a floating city at night.
This floating city is the grand synthesis of the user's digital comfort history. It has a composite nature. It's suspended in the sky like islands, stitched together from your favorite cozy settings: gaming rooms, reading nooks, plant-filled corners, starlit balconies.
So it's a personalized, bespoke comfort zone created from your digital history, but purified of all the noise. It is the idealized version of all the spaces we try to mentally retreat to when we're overwhelmed.
Which confirms your earlier point. The algorithm hasn't been destroyed, it's just been retrained. It still processes information about your preferences, but its directive has been shifted from maximizing screen time to maximizing tranquility.
So stepping into this floating city, it feels immediately different. The moment of entry is instantly tactile. Stepping through that doorway involves absolutely no rush, and you feel a warm current of air like a soft hoodie fresh from the dryer.
That tactile detail is so profound, it grounds the otherwise ethereal experience in immediate, non-threatening physical comfort. That soft hoodie feeling is an instant, universally recognized signal of safety, warmth, and relaxation.
It bypasses cognitive interpretation.
Completely. It immediately signals to the body, you are safe here.
And the city's lighting reinforces this sense of profound safety. Buildings are outlined by soft glows, rose gold, pastel blue, deep violet-like ambient RGB lights turned down to their absolute gentlest setting.
It's the aesthetic of digital life, the familiar RGB glow, but at a non-stimulating intensity that actually allows for melatonin production.
And the environment itself creates this crucial psychological separation. The sky is a rich midnight blue above, and below a sea of slow-moving clouds glowing faintly. This ensures the noisy world is far, far away, unable to disturb you up here.
Those clouds act as both a physical and a psychological buffer against the demands and noise of the world you just left behind. It's an architectural guarantee of solitude.
That separation is essential. It provides a visual guarantee that the urgency of the ground-level world simply cannot reach you. Which brings us to the path of ease, a key element of the anti-challenge design.
The path itself is made of floating tiles, like a video game path stripped of all challenge and urgency. This is the deliberate removal of friction. Most navigation, digital or real world, involves overcoming friction, finding the right link, avoiding an obstacle, solving a puzzle. This path exists only to guide gently and supportively.
And the tactile comfort of that path, it feels solid and soft at the same time, like stepping on a memory foam cloud. It just further emphasizes the supportive, non-demanding nature of this world.
It really does.
I spend all day navigating hard surfaces and sharp edges. This memory foam cloud pathway is an immediate physical signal of safety and deceleration.
The path is engineered to reduce proprioceptive stress. You don't have to pay close attention to your footing. And the gentle feedback, the tile lighting up faintly with a warm golden shimmer underfoot, is just enough visual engagement to keep you present without being distracting or demanding of your focus.
And while moving, the multisensory curation continues. Tell me more about the aromas of rest.
Well, the air carries a complex but harmonious mix of comforting scents. Rain on stone, freshly made bread, warm vanilla, and the crisp smell of night air at the edge of autumn. This is strategic. Scent is one of the most powerful triggers for memory and emotional state because it bypasses the thalamus and goes directly to the brain's limbic system.
So it's a direct route to the emotional center.
Exactly. These particular scents are deep, comforting anchors, evoking universal associations of home, safety, and natural cycles. The olfactory system is being actively coached into relaxation alongside the visual and auditory systems.
And this path eventually leads us to a central concept, the filtering garden, which is all about worry dissolution.
This is perhaps the most fascinating piece of cognitive engineering in the entire blueprint. It's a floating garden, lush with plants whose leaves are tipped with bioluminescent light. The setting itself defies normal physics, which aids in mental detachment from reality. But the core mechanism is the low fire pit, smoldering with embers, surrounded by a circular bench.
And instead of sparks, those embers release tiny images from the day. The stressful email, the loudest noise, the fastest moment, and the critical function. They fade instantly, dissolving into soft, harmless wisps of light.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this garden acts as an active filtering mechanism that addresses cognitive rehearsal. When we worry, we are mentally rehearsing stressful events, keeping them sharp and immediate.
So keeping them alive.
Yes, the sanctuary provides a visual, real-time shortcut to cognitive externalization, similar to journaling or focused meditation. It allows you to present the worry, see it slow down until it is aesthetically gentle, and then observe its release.
So it gives you explicit permission to acknowledge the worry without having to engage with its urgency or its solution. It is a powerful mechanism for mental clutter reduction, turning high-stakes information into harmless, dissolving aesthetic input.
And once that active filtering is complete, we move into the space designed for full physical release. The synchronization lounge.
This is a suspended glass-walled lounge room filled with warm lamps, big floor cushions, and a low table. It emphasizes observation and passive presence, not interaction.
And the detail here that removes temporal anxiety is what the source calls the eternal comforts. Mugs that seem to steam eternally without cooling, their scents changing with the mood mint for clarity, chamomile for softening, cocoa for warmth.
By removing the ticking clock of a cooling drink, the environment reinforces its non-demand ethos. You never have to rush.
Never.
But if the cushion rises up and cradles the body, as the source describes, the body response being the cushion rising up around the body like a soft wave, spine straightening effortlessly, isn't that just another form of technological control, albeit a pleasant one?
That's a critical distinction to make. Control aims for compliance. This system is about support. It's not forcing your body into an unnatural position. It's providing the ideal passive condition that your body already craves, removing the muscular work required for relaxation.
So the furniture is doing the work for you.
It's actively supporting the release of tension, performing a gentle physical correction for you, especially if you've been hunched from a day at a desk or staring at a screen.
And central to this lounge is the transparent screen, what it calls visual ASMR. It's not pushing content or a narrative, but offering these slow, looping visuals, gentle rain, a mountain wrapped in clouds at dawn, bioluminescent plankton waves.
This motion doesn't serve entertainment, it serves physiological regulation. When I say biofeedback, I mean that the visual rhythm syncs directly with your optimal slow inhalation and exhalation rhythm. Your mind follows the predictable slow wave of the visuals.
So it's coaching your breathing.
It's a gentle, nonverbal coach. This intentional biofeedback encourages a steady, deep physiological rhythm, allowing the autonomic nervous system to unwind in real time, pulling you out of that default sympathetic or alert state.
So every single element, from the seating to the visuals, is acting as a personalized, gentle coach toward genuine rest, rather than just distracting us until we fall asleep.
That's the core difference.
As we move deeper into the city, we see how even traditionally high-engagement digital spaces are radically transformed, reinforcing the environment's singular purpose. We are reimagining digital entertainment.
Yes, we see a building that looks like a cozy game room, but the screens show only slow atmospheric landscapes, rolling clouds, fog drifting, the competitive element, the high-stakes narrative, the need for rapid reflexes. It's all gone.
So it's chill gaming, taken to its absolute extreme, where the objective is merely peaceful presence, not achievement.
It's the aesthetic reward without the performance anxiety.
And the movie theater is similarly repurposed. The marquee simply reads, "Tonight, the calmest night." The screen inside plays nothing but the slow spin of galaxies, stars forming and dissolving in a kind of cosmic ASMR.
This is the ultimate non-narrative experience. It utilizes the intrinsic awe of cosmology, the scale of the universe, but it slows it down and softens it, turning high-volume information, like the birth and death of stars, into a quiet, passive visual rhythm.
So it encourages your mind to widen its focus without demanding cognitive engagement or emotional reaction. Its vastness rendered safe and slow.
Exactly. And even the commercial spaces, the last vestiges of our real-world economy, are reframed. The cafe's purpose is made clear. Its sign reads, "Open all night, for rest, not for work."
Which is a critical linguistic reinforcement of the environment's sole intention.
It draws a stark line between the metrics-driven digital world we left behind and this sanctuary. In this floating city, labor and productivity are irrelevant concepts. Everything exists solely to facilitate ease and rest.
This path finally leads us to the absolute heart of the city, the final resting place, the Silver Tree Plaza. The location is described as a circular plaza of polished stone that reflects the sky, creating the sensation of walking directly on the night.
And that detail, it connects the deeply personal sanctuary back to the grand internal cycle of the universe, but it keeps the connection safe and grounded. You are literally walking on the polished surface of night. It's the visual metaphor for suspension and stillness before sleep.
And then there is the silver tree itself. Enormous, silver-barked, its leaves shimmer with every favorite aesthetic edit, color pastels, teals, pinks. It's an organic, monumental structure built from digital aesthetics.
This tree is the synthesis point of the entire environment. And most importantly, each leaf holds a tiny, moving image, a muted story playing in silence. The key takeaway here is profound because it addresses the core addictive mechanism of modern digital life.
Which is?
You don't need to follow, like, or comment. They exist without demanding anything from you. The flow of information is acknowledged, but its social contract is permanently deactivated.
So it is the final offering of passive, safe consumption. You can observe the beauty, the stories, the aesthetics, but the pressure to engage, to perform, or to validate others is utterly revoked.
Which brings us to the core mechanism of inducing restorative sleep. The platform built around the trunk, a combination of a bed, a cloud, and a nest. This is the culmination of all the environment's promises.
The environmental synchronization begins immediately upon settling. The tree's branches lower slightly, its leaves dimming, and this is the moment of deep integration. The city's overall heartbeat hum softens, syncing perfectly with your own resting heart rate.
This full environment synchronization is the ultimate sedative. By matching the city's pulse to your physiological state, the environment actively stabilizes the nervous system and promotes cardiac coherence. This leads to the freedom of disconnection.
What's that?
The realization that this entire floating world will keep operating, floating, glowing, humming, even if you're no longer awake.
That is the full, explicit permission to unplug, knowing the aesthetically pleasing digital realm will wait patiently, demanding nothing in the interim. This completely reverses the modern fear of missing out, or FOMO.
It does. The sanctuary assures you that the world will continue beautifully whether you are present or not.
The physical and mental release is then completed by the architecture itself. The pillow adjusts itself perfectly to the neck, the body sinks, feeling pleasantly heavy and supported.
And the quiet, repeated thought from the rustling leaves, "You are safe, you are allowed to rest, you don't have to keep up," is the final, critical cognitive reassurance. It's an internalized mantra that actively counters the daily, insidious pressures of performance and speed that define our waking digital lives.
And finally, we have the final filter, the last line of defense against cognitive intrusion. Any remaining thoughts, the residue of unanswered messages, or tomorrow's worries, arrive at the edge of the dream like a tiny balloon.
And then they're touched by a gentle leaf from the silver tree and dissolved into a harmless spark of light. This mechanism ensures the transition from pre-sleep quietude into deep restorative sleep is protected. It prevents that cognitive spike, that sudden return of a stressful thought that often pulls people out of their resting state. It guarantees the continuity of calm.
So the algorithm of your day truly transforms into a gentle curator of peace, arranging scenes of calm, then crucially stepping back and giving control back to you, the sleeper. It is a technological path to conscious, intentional surrender.
It really is.
That was an incredibly detailed journey into this blueprint for genuine digital rest. Let's quickly review the core engineering principles of this sanctuary for you. First, we have the radical reversal of digital speed. Every interaction operates at the speed of the breath, not the speed of the thumb, forcing a physiological deceleration.
Second, the blueprint relies on the meticulous curation and integration of sensory input sound, scent, visual pacing, and tactile comfort, all calibrated for non-stimulation and synchronization with the body's needs.
And third, the architectural design includes active, aesthetic mechanisms for stress dissolution and cognitive externalization, the fire pit dissolving daily worries, the transparent screen syncing with breathing, and the silver tree providing the ultimate cognitive filter and the full necessary permission to rest.
This entire structure details a profound and unmet psychological need for digital spaces that offer beauty and structure without the inherent demand for attention, action, or contribution. It is, as the source argues, a true digital disconnect by gentle choice.
This raises an important question. If digital environments are so expertly engineered today to hijack our attention and maximize engagement for profit, the sanctuary proves the untapped power of engineering for disengagement and restoration.
Exactly. It demonstrates that the exact same tools and infrastructure, the algorithms, the interfaces, the personalization, can be inverted to facilitate deep presence and peace.
So the key takeaway for you, the learner, is realizing that you don't have to fight the noise to find quiet. Sometimes, the quiet has to be structured and invited. The power lies in realizing that even your mental or digital environment can be intentionally designed to grant you the explicit, unconditional permission to let go.
It is about fundamentally changing the expectations of the digital interaction itself.
Indeed. The sanctuary waits patiently, the silver tree watches over the aesthetic remnants of your day, and the floating city hums only for your comfort. So what if true disconnection isn't about the difficult, forceful act of turning the device off entirely, but redesigning what the device itself expects from you? What if it expected only your peace, something to mull or explore on your own?